From video games, books, and even the actual tabletop itself, Warhammer has been increasingly getting more popular. That sentence is a run-on sentence. It doesn't even make sense. But you get what I mean. Say what you want about Games Workshop, but they've done a tremendous job at getting people interested in their game. And in one fell swoop, they seem to have gone from this sort of niche hobby to signing Henry Cavill and producing or gonna be producing shows and movies with Amazon. But there has to be a linchpin, and one of these linchpins are the Combat Patrol / 500-ish points games. Yeah, I know the books are viral, the lore is viral. People are like TikTok readers, they read or watch Major Kill videos and think they know all about Warhammer. Look, I get all that, but a lot of the actual playing time is the result of these casual 500 point ish games through combat patrols. And I'll explain to you what is a combat patrol and how you can get into it. Stay tuned. All right, so this is a combat patrol box. Don't mind the uneven table. We're kind of on an uneven ground. Anyway, this is a combat patrol box. This in particular is my Necron's combat patrol box. The minis you saw in the beginning there, I painted. They're not done. I still need to highlight them and base them, but they're almost done, like maybe 60% of the way there. Anyway, this is a combat patrol box, and there is a mini count here of 19 figures for each and every combat patrol box. This will vary. Some of the Necrons are more trending towards horde, meaning there's a lot of bodies on the screen, but they can also be elite. But there are some other combat patrol boxes that are hyper elite, or some that are more horde focused, and those can stretch into the 30, even 40 mini count. And regardless of what you grab, they are sort of balanced against one another. Now, 2,000 point games are a different beast entirely. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking specifically about you going into our store and grabbing one of these boxes, you building and painting them. Your friend does the exact same thing, and you just duking it out, box to box. Does that make sense? They are kind of balanced against each other. Now, it's still going to depend on how you play, but for the most part, you can't really do too well or too bad against one another. There are some obvious counterplay between the armies, sort of like a rock, paper, scissors type of thing, where a horde-focused army may overwhelm the small elite kind of army, but at the same token, the horde army might be too weak to even damage the elite army. So it's all going to depend on how you play. So again, you can't be too bad, you can't be too good. That's just how they balanced it, and it's perfect. And that's actually what I'm going to get at, is that these come with, if you notice, they come with like rudimentary paint jobs. Yeah, this paint list at the top here can be overwhelming, but I don't know if you notice, that's just like 3 shades of brass. Now, it's obviously going to depend on what was that sentence? It's obviously going to depend on the army you choose, but a lot of them are kind of, just blue or red. I'm talking about Space Marines, and they have gold trimmings. In a lot of Games Workshop's own tournaments, you are tournament legal so long as each mini has 3 colors. That's it. 3 different colors. You have the red, you have the gold, and the black for the guns, and you're done. You can finish the minis later, painting them, all that stuff. Doesn't really matter. In fact, if I can choose to do so, I can pop into a Games Workshop mortar and brick store and fight, quote unquote, the store manager, because each store manager have their own armies on hand, because you can actually book them to play against them. or with them. And I can plop one of these Canoptech Doomstalkers in my entire other combat patrol and just fight them right now. That's how easy it is. And the convenience level is off the charts. So every army comes in a combat patrol, and honestly, even just 2,000 point games, the actual full games, they typically come with something like this, composition-wise. You're gonna have your HQ, which is headquarters, or at least at this case is the officer, the main guy, the main dude, the character typically. In this case for the Necrons, you have a Necron overlord, and he's typically very powerful. A lot of officers are. They carry these special rules with them, and yeah, he's typically the most detailed in the army. A lot of characters are, and in a combat patrol, sorry, forget my words, I'm slurring, but there's typically at least one officer per combat patrol box. I don't know of any combat patrol boxes that have multiple. Because even the Custodes, while yes, you can have multiple shield captains in 2,000 point game, I think combat patrol rules only allow for one, because it is a smaller scale. Anyway, next up, we have your Elite's Choice. These are typically harder hitting than the typical hordes, harder hitting than the masses. But what you have here are the elites. Something rare, but something you cherish, because if these die, kind of the backbone of your army dies, or at least the strong right arm of your army dies. You know what I'm saying? What does the U.S. Army say? Carry a big stick, be quiet with it. Well, elites aren't really quiet about it. They don't really pretend that they don't have a big stick. They wave it around, or in these cases, these are not sticks. These are phase swords. But anyway, yeah, these are my elites. So these are Scorpec destroyers, and they're so cool. They're so cool. Anyway, moving on. We have the Horde army, or not the Horde army, but the Horde part of my army, Necron warriors. As previously mentioned, these things get back up if you don't kill the entire unit. Yeah, they resurrect. It's called the what was it called? Is it Resurrection Protocol? I forgot. It's been so long since I played Warhammer, to be honest. Little confession. While I do paint and occasionally play the occasional Warhammer game, I haven't played a game of Warhammer since late 8th edition. Yeah. In any case, I'm going to change that this summer, though. That's why I'm painting this combat patrol. Anyway, yeah, these Necron warriors, hard to kill. In fact, the Necrons are kind of hard to kill in general, because they keep getting back up so long as that unit hasn't died. So, for example, there's 3 in a unit, at least in combat patrol, of a Scorpec destroyer. If you kill 2, but there's another one lingering around, you roll a dice, and on a successful roll, one or both of them go back to life. I forgot which is the rule. I think they nerfed the resurrection thing in 10th. They were very strong in 9th, when they were properly introduced. But anyway, it is what it is. And finally, we have the Canoptech Doomstalker, and it's why this combat patrol box is very good. Let me zoom out. Yeah. If you like War of the Worlds, well, whoops. This is it. This is the army of choice for you, the Necrons. There's no other way. It's not going back. Big gun at top, a small double kind of Gauss. Is it the Flare, the Reaper? Or is that even what the guns are called? I forgot. I'm new to the Necrons, guys. I don't know if you can tell. But yeah, they're awesome. Incredible. And yeah, that's typically the composition of each and every combat patrol box. It typically, at least the good ones, have vehicles, a support / elite's choice, and an officer. And they're all optimized against one another. They can be good against each other, can be bad against each other, but ultimately if you play an even 50 games, For the most part, I think the win rate's gonna look like 55-45 or something close to 50-50. All right, it's all gonna depend on your skill. But anyway, that's it for now. I'll see you guys next time. Right, guys, forgot to film this. This is Paul from the future. Anyway, Combat Patrol rules are readily available and for free online. Just type in Combat Patrol rules. Should be the very first result. Combat Patrol, a PDF opens. All the relevant rules are here, from deployment, explaining what a combat patrol is, you know, how to paint fast battle-ready minis. You're gonna see that my Necrons have no highlighting on them, and no basing, so they're kind of even worse than battle-ready, to be honest. And that's a fast method. It's a casual game, so who really cares about highlighting, right? Yeah, you can finish your minis later. Different deployments, all of that is explained. It's just 6 pages really of text, even less maybe, because a lot of it is images of attackers, defenders, right? And yeah, all these objectives, rules, all of it's here. And that's it. That's the end of the document. Again, the pictures is roughly around 6 to 7 pages of text, maybe even less. Very simple, short, and to the point. And this used to be called 500-point games, points relating to the per point conversion of a model. And you can kind of make your own 500-point game. Keep in mind that's not really optimized to face against Games Workshop. They kind of curate these Combat Patrol games, right? And your custom 500-point army isn't really optimized. They might be way stronger, but just keep it casual, guys. Don't really metagame in front of someone who's a beginner, right? As you can see, this is a Combat Patrol guide, new format 7 months ago as of the filming of this video. Anyway, don't metagame, have fun out there, keep it casual. A lot of the people playing Combat Patrol are beginners. Before we get started, I know there are going to be detractors out there. I understand. This is still going to be very expensive. A video game right now is $70 on average. An indie game might be $40. Kill Team Box, that's the main detraction, which is funny because it's still a Games Workshop product. So you're feeding the same company anyway. But a small rectangular box of a squad is, what, 55 to 70 bones? Not too bad. And it's definitely the equivalent of a video game. You get an entire squad or two in one single kill team box. And in theory, that is the easiest way to get into Warhammer. But when we're talking about Warhammer, a lot of people typically talk about the big armies. And Combat Patrol fights are the equivalent of, if we extrapolate each unit, is the equivalent of just small platoons fighting each other. So a small skirmish. Maybe 100 combatants if they were actually to fight in lore, like a TV show or whatever. If we extrapolate that, 2,000 points would be the equivalent of like multi-divisions, hundreds of thousands of troops, right, if we extrapolate it. But Kill Team is a squad v squad, so it's not really, it's not really, a big team battle, so to speak, right? So again, for the detractors, I know Kill Team exists, and that is genuinely the cheapest way to get into Warhammer, but it is not the most efficient. But yeah, you can still use the models, but again, it's not the most efficient points-wise and cost-wise. This is undisputedly the most efficient. Now, obviously, there's nothing stopping you from going to eBay and getting secondhand models, and that probably is the most efficient, but no, I digress. A lot of people get into the hobby for building and painting. Right? I mean, that's kind of 80% of the point. Other 10th edition offerings include the aforementioned Elite Adeptus Custodes. While they do come with 14 minis, which seems like a lot, the Necrons have this thing called reanimation protocols, where if you, let's say, take the Necron warriors here at the front, the cannon fodder, if you don't finish the entire unit, every turn that goes on, one or even more will come back to life. So you are incentivized to kill these hordes, whereas they are hard to kill. They're essentially a character per mini. But if you kill them, they're not really going to go back up, though they do have a rule that allows some of them to go back up. It's strange, but you know what I'm saying? They're hyper elite, more horde focused. And then this is the Tau. Let me bring that in right here. So they are more horde than the Necrons. At least this particular combat patrol boxes. They can also be elite if you want. Technically, every army can be elite or horde. It just depends on what you pick. Some are just better at that than others. And here is a little secret, guys. For combat patrol boxes, if they have a vehicle, they are typically better for your buck, better value, typically, not always, but also it's kind of better for your mentality. You wake up one morning, Christmas morning, it's like, oh boy, what did mom get me? It's like, yeah, she got me this Custodes box. You look at it, yeah, there's a lot of troops, and troops are fun at first, but they get monotonous as the time goes on. Whereas you're building a big, is this a manta? Wait. No, it's a devilfish, sorry, a manta's different. Anyway, so you're building this devilfish, cool, hovercraft, right? And it can fly, and it's beautiful. And that's something you want to wake up to in a Christmas morning as a gift or your birthday or whatever. And it doesn't get monotonous. It breaks the flow. So, in my opinion, I play Custodes, and I still believe that Tau is the better value. Now, combat performance might be different. Though, actually, no, my baby, the Custodes, are a little weak this edition, but we'll get them next time, Custodes, my beloved. Then we have another, oh, there goes the Necrons. Some of them died. I'm just joking. Pretty strong models. That's a Necrons. Oops, wrong model. We have finally another example, Dark Angels. Again, right? Look at it. No other offerings besides Space Marines. And you'll find this as a consistency across the board. If you go to YouTube or whatever, search up like a tier list of 10th edition or even 9th edition combat patrols, you'll notice that a lot of samey feeling combat patrols are rated lower. Obviously, it depends compared to someone or something that has a vehicle or something that breaks up the monotony. Plus, this has a commander battlesuit. That's incredible. This has the Gravis Captain as its officer. A bunch of grunts, and then their elite choice is this. I think these are Blade Guard veteran. Yeah, they are Blade Guard veteran. So, yeah, I mean, it all depends on what you pick, what you choose. But at the end of the day, you got to pick and choose. At least if you're planning to play the actual game and you'll eventually build a 2,000 point army, this is it. This is where you start. And it's perfect for beginners. I suggest if you're truly strapped for money, skip this one altogether. It is only worth it if you can foresee yourself building 2,000 points and you truly want to commit to that. But otherwise, skip. All right? That is the caveat with all Warhammer. Every meeting with Warhammer fans sounds like an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. But it is what it is. That's just the way of life, right? Yeah.